we should do on the show this week.
Grant Cook, you have failed this city.
Is it the hat? Is that all you got? Hey guys, welcome to Film Learnin, the show dedicated to learning you some filmmaking and learning you good. We took on Flash running last week, so it's only fair that we take on the show that spawned it, with this request from Carmelo on Facebook. Hi, how are you? Can you do a tutorial for arrow shot, please? We sure can, buddy! And I apologize if I, mispronounced your name. So in order to complete this effect, you'll need a bow for starters. It can be an actual bow, a toy bow like mine, or even...
The mightiest Nerf adventure ever.
Man, I love that commercial. So in order to make this effect work, you need to shoot your actor reaching back and firing the arrow nice and quick. If you do this slowly, the effect will be crappy, as the motion blur hides a lot of the signs that this arrow is fake. We'll also need a still shot of an arrow, like this. That's right, we're only using one still of an arrow to make this effect. So let's get to work, shall we? Okay guys, I've already got my footage set up in a comp and ready to go. As you can see, our actor reaches behind to pull out the arrow from his imaginary quiver and then fires the imaginary arrow. I purposely filmed it on this angle because my bow didn't come with a quiver, so I just kind of faked it. So first things first, let's grab our arrow still and drop it in. Our first step will be to animate our actor grabbing the arrow out. It's only a few frames and it won't take too long. So let's scrub to the point where he first reaches behind, and then we'll trim our arrow still to start at this point. From there, let's position our arrow into the shot. Most likely, we'll be using the scale, rotation, and position controls to get the arrow just where we want it to be. So have a play until it looks just right for you. Once you're done, we'll hit the stopwatch on both rotation and position and go frame by frame until our arrow is completely out of the shot. We'll then trim the end of our still layer so that it only lasts until that hand's out of frame. Turn on motion blur for the comp and the layer, and let's check out a preview. Not bad. From there, let's duplicate our footage layer and drag it on top of our arrow layer. Trim that footage layer so it's now the same length as our arrow still. Next, let's grab the pen tool and draw a mask around the parts of the actor that we want in front of the arrow, like the head and hand if need be. Collapse the mask menu down and hit the stopwatch on mask path. We'll then go frame by frame, animating that mask until the arrow is completely off screen. Next, let's feather it out around 9 pixels or so. Now you might barely be able to see that arrow, but it's important that it's there for the overall effect. Okay guys, we've pulled the arrow out, now let's fire it! So the process of firing the arrow is very similar to taking it out of the quiver. The only difference being this time, we'll be animating the arrow in 3D space. So let's head to the point where our arrow is already in the bow, ready to be shot. We'll then head over to the project menu and drop our new arrow into the comp. Let's make it 3D and then position it and rotate its orientation in 3D space so that it now lines up with your hands and bow. This can take a little bit of time to get right, but it's time worth spending. Once you're happy with the position, hit the stopwatch on both position and orientation, and we'll work backwards, frame by frame, adjusting the position and orientation of the arrow based on the actor's hand movements until, like the last arrow, it's completely out of frame. Once that part's done, we'll then head forward and animate those last few frames of the arrow being drawn back and fired. Once it's fired, move it up in 3D space and animate it leaving the frame. Let's turn on motion blur for the layer and check out a preview. Not bad, the animation looks pretty good. Let's now duplicate our footage and finish it off with another motion mask. Once again, trim the footage so that it starts on the same frame as our arrow still and finishes once the arrow has been launched. Grab the pen tool and let's start by drawing a mask around, say, 3/4 of the hand, as we want to give the impression that the arrow is in between those last two fingers. Hit the stopwatch on mask path and we'll go frame by frame animating that mask until the arrow finally launches. When you're done, feather it out a few pixels and let's check out a preview now. Looks pretty good, but let's add one final touch. As you can see, my hand in the bow is slightly out of focus, so let's add the same blur to the arrow. With the arrow selected, head up to Effect, Blur and Sharpen and add a camera lens blur. We'll then crank it up to around 7 to 9, depending on your depth of field. Let's check it out now. Not bad at all. Now you may have seen that I also had a shot of me catching the arrow. It's the exact same process. All you gotta do is animate the arrow and then animate another mask right on top of it. Add up all of those steps and you'll get something like this. I wonder what we should do on the show this week.
Grant Cook, you have failed this city.
Is it the hat? Is that all you got? So that's shooting arrows like Oliver Queen, guys. I know it's a pretty basic effect using one still and all, but it's a quick and easy way to get this effect made without having to rely on hand animating or tracking in a 3D program. That said, you could still do that and use the masking method shown here to make it work. Alright guys, that's it for the episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and share it. If you're new, please subscribe as next month sees the return of Dragon Ball month. So get your request for any DBZ style effects in while you can. And until next time my friends, keep learning!